Good afternoon, everyone. I will talk about troubleshooting, debugging, and tracing in Citrix environments. And before I will start this, I want to talk a little bit about me. So, who I am? My name is Denis Gundarev. I'm working for NTC Solutions company in Northern California. I'm trying to be a little bit geeky, so you will hopefully enjoy this presentation. I'm Russian, as you can hear, and what I'm doing some presentations. I'm one of the organizers of Bay Area Citrix user group. So if you are from San Francisco Bay Area, you're welcome to join user group. The URL for meetup group will be on the on the last slide. I'm one of the fellow Citrix technology professionals. And what we will talk today about, we will talk about troubleshooting. But it will be not the session about easy stuff like restart the computer and issue is resolved. Never do this. No, never restart computer if you have some issue. Because you need to have this error state. If you don't know how to reproduce it, you need to have your computer in error state or your server in error state. It's not about advanced CDF tracing. CDF tracing, if you're not aware what is CDF tracing, it's a Citrix diagnostic facility. It's a tool that is available with almost every Citrix product that help you to analyze what is happening on your servers, on your desktops. There's a lot of information about CDF because this technology is in Citrix products like for 10 years or maybe more than 10 years. There is a lot of information about CDF tracing on Citrix.com, especially if you will check presentations from TechEdge, like a part of the Synergy conference. There is a lot of good stuff. It's not about advanced crash dump analysis. You can check blog post, web blog of Dmitry Vostokov. He is a senior support engineer at Citrix. He do a lot of stuff, interesting stuff with crash dump analysis. What I'm going to talk today, it's more about easy stuff. Shaman's guide to troubleshooting. So when you do troubleshooting, what you need to do? First of all, you need to identify the issue. Yeah. The second thing, you need to do something, and finally you will get your results. So the problem, what you will do in the phase 2. You know, I'm from Russia. Russia is a big country. We in Russia have on the east some people. They are shamans. They can do what other people can do. They can dance with tambourine, and they will get rain in their city, or something like this. And this tactic is actually really useful in IT environment. Like if you have some issues like with Microsoft Windows, I have this. It helped me. So unfortunately, I don't have tambourine, especially for Citrix stuff. I have one big one for Cisco, but it doesn't work, unfortunately. But anyway, don't look at me like these guys. So I will talk about storefront troubleshooting. What you need to do to troubleshoot issues with storefront, as example. First of all, if you have some issue, first thing that you will do, you will check support.citrix.com for some articles regarding these issues. It was great when you had web interface. There was about 250 articles about web interface. A lot of articles about XenApp, Citrix XenApp. But if you check new products that are just released a couple of months ago, like XenDesktop 7, 240 articles about XenDesktop 7. Good, good. It's almost the same complexity like web interface. What about Storefront? 8 articles regarding Storefront 2.0. If you have some issue, most probably it's not documented yet on the Citrix website. you need to do some kind of investigation. You need to find what's causing this issue. And OK, the most common issue with Citrix Storefront, you have this error message. You don't know what to do. You can call someone, he will dance, he will do something. But actually, what you will do if you have some issues on with your applications, with your servers, first thing that you need to do, you need to check event logs. But what you see in this event log? You can find this information, how it's useful. So before talking about how it's useful, this information in this log, let's read it. There is no endpoint listening on some address. So what is endpoint? Why it's not listening? So Citrix Storefront and most of the Citrix components in XenDesktop 7, they are based on Windows Communication Foundation. It's a stack of protocols and APIs from Microsoft that is part of .NET that help developers to build service-oriented products. And there is a lot of services. If you ever installed XenDesktop 7, you can find that there is more than 20 services. If you do installation, everything in one box, there is more than 20 services running. Each of these services communicate with each other using the WCF endpoints. It's like a small website, let's say, and there is a client that's requesting some information from this website, and basically it gets information in XML format. And all services that running on the same box, they using WCF to communicate with each other. And every service listening at some endpoint. And this endpoint configuration is configured in the config files that are stored in the same folder, whereas exe is stored or where your web application is stored. So if you have this kind of error, there is something that can be interesting for you. There is some URL. What service is not listening? How you can find which service is not listening and doesn't work? What you can do, easiest thing that you can do on the server, on every server you have PowerShell. And if you open PowerShell window and type something like browse across all folders, try to search all files with .config extension. Then search for the string that you found in the error log, in event log. Search for this string, then we will pipe it, and we will select only path of this file that will be found, and the line number, just for reference. And there's another one cool feature of PowerShell. You can make a graphical output of your search in the format, and then you can select some files and open them with Notepad. So I did a search, and I found several files. If you will check what files are here, you can see that there are some files that are stored in the program files features folder. These files are actually like a template. It's a merge template for configuration when several services are installed by the PowerShell commands or using the Storefront console. These templates are used to build the final configuration file. But there is actually one file at the bottom, which is actually a file that has some exe in the name, and it's a file that's store configuration for some exe file. So what is it? What we will find inside this configuration file? Inside this configuration file, we can find that there is, so it's a configuration file for the service. And what kind of service is it? Most probably, in this case, one of the services is not running. How you can find this service? If you have your XenDesktop 7 infrastructure, just one server that runs about 20 or 24 services on the same box. You can check properties of each service to check where is your executable for this service is located. But it's kind of long operation. You need to click a lot and check. You can use PowerShell to search for all services that have some path, some folder in the path name of the service. You can search it, find your service easily, and then check that it's actually stopped and it's causing the problem with this error message. OK, you fixed it, maybe, but it still doesn't work. What you can do next? The next thing that you need to do, you need to check event log again. And what you can find there. Like here in my installation, I played with XenDesktop on my home lab, and I did some different kind of configurations, changed some things, and I found that after I changed something, the URL address of my NetScaler gateway or of my load balancer is not resolving, cannot be resolved, and actually it's a wrong address. I just need to change it. So where I can change it? I can open PowerShell, search for this string, and find exact location of the config file that I need to change. Open it and change this string to string that I need to change. But what we can find in this configuration file, what can be interesting for you, if you explore a new product and you want to know how this product actually works, the best way to explore the product is to check everything that is readable, that you can read. And configuration files for storefront services, for XenDesktop services, is a good start where you can get some kind of information. So if you will look to this configuration file, is anyone see something interesting here? No?
I do, but I know the answer.
OK. So if you check this piece of the configuration file, there is something about proxy that is disabled in this case. And there is some process name and the port. Who knows what is Fiddler? No one knows? Oh, cool. So Fiddler is a web proxy that you can install on your desktop or on the server. And browser or any service that's running on this server can be configured to use this proxy as a proxy. And everything will be tracked. You can even track all HTTPS connections and see what's inside these connections. And if you have this error and you don't know what to do, you can change this configuration file, set it to proxy enabled to true, then download Fiddler, install it, configure, start, and you will get all communications between different services on the storefront, how they communicate with each other, and what's inside this information, what's inside these traces. The great thing that everything is in readable format. As you can see, I'm using HTTPS here, but I can read everything that flows through the wire. And what you can use as alternative, usually, you can install Wireshark, as example, on the server and track everything that happens. But what problem you can find with Wireshark when you start tracing? HTTPS is not the biggest problem of Wireshark because you can configure decryption if you have a certificate. The biggest problem with Wireshark that it's not listening for local host connections. And the way how Storefront works, and especially receiver for web, The receiver for web is an application that works as a receiver, like exactly the same like receiver on your desktop, Windows receiver, or receiver on your Android. Yep.
Does it also capture netpipe command or just HTTPS?
Just HTTPS. Yeah. Receiver works as a client, and it communicates with the server, with services that run on the Storefront server. And some of these communications are using a local host to connect to the server. So you will find them only using Fiddler. And when you have this error message, what can cause this problem? In this case, I used Fiddler to trace all traffic for Storefront server. And what I found here, that my load balancer is setting cookie for persistence cookie. On NetScaler, you can configure persistence using cookie persistence. But what I see in the request that is sent to the load balancer, that there is no cookie in the request. By default, applications that are using WCF, they just drop in all cookies. And because of this, your load balancer cannot track connections, and if it's configured for session persistence with cookie. It cannot track connections, and if you check the cookies that are set, so 4 requests and 4 responses from the NetScaler, it's setting the cookie, and as you see, cookies are different each time. It's like round robin. So web interface, oh, not web, Storefront doesn't expect some connections, and if you have multiple servers, you can be routed to the wrong server that doesn't expect some kind of message from receiver Storefront. So to fix this, you need to change cookie persistent to source IP persistent, or there is another one way, but I'm not sure that it's supported. You can enable cookies for WCF using the changes in the config file. Storefront is quite new product. Some people think it's buggy. I personally think it's perfect. And one of the things why I think it's perfect, because for some reason, developers at Citrix or people who did the documentation, they put advanced tracing, how to enable advanced tracing in Storefront. They put this information into the documentation. It may mean that it's needed frequently, so people need to know how to enable it. So that's the reason. Maybe not, but the problem with this tracing, yes, you can enable tracing. It's not a big secret how to do this. But if you will open these trace files, are they useful? Some lines are useful. They have timestamp, date stamp, some information. Some lines are not. So like this, when it was happened, I don't know. What was before this? I don't know. And the funny thing that Storefront, it uses about 5 or 6 services that are running by default, with default configuration. And each of them produce this kind of file that you can't read. What you can do with this? Because Storefront, as like most of the XenDesktop components, is built on top of the WCF, you can use standard tracing tools that are available for WCF applications. You can install Windows SDK, get 2 executables from this SDK. In this case, we need just 2 executables. One is Server's configuration editor. You can use this tool to modify configuration that is stored in the config file. You can do this manually, but you really need to know what you're doing because it's an XML configuration, and if you're not aware what parameters should be set or which case you should use, because some parameters are case sensitive. If you're not aware what to do, if you don't know what to do, you can use serverless configuration utility to modify configuration files. Sorry, there's something with clicker. So what you can do, you can search for all configuration files. First thing that you need to enable tracing according to the documentation. Then you can search for all configuration files, search for the string that contain string that targets point to the folder where log files are stored. Select path name, output to the grid. You will find all files. You need to select files that you want to modify. Then you open them with serverless configuration utility. And what you can do, you can set up XML tracing. Instead of text file tracing, which is enabled by default, you can configure XML tracing. And what you can do, you can select what will be in this log file, what fields will be tracked in this log file. Then you need to select XML tracer. It's easy. You just select what kind of tracer you will use. And then you can use second utility from Microsoft SDK, Windows SDK, called Serverless Trace Viewer. What's great with Serverless Trace Viewer that you can open multiple files at the same time in one window. And all data will be stored and ordered by timestamp or by level. It's up to you. You can sort your data. You can select only errors or warnings, and you can do whatever you want. It's even better, from my opinion, than standard event log viewer. You can do a lot. You can create custom filters if you like, if you're troubleshooting Storefront on a daily basis. You can create custom filters and use them to analyze data. So you can get a lot of information in the readable format, in format that make some sense, just by changing the configuration files and using standard tools that are available in SDK. Another one thing that is interesting with Storefront, there is a lot of good things in this product, and there is a lot of easy ways to enable these advanced features. Like, if you will open your receiver Storefront, and then just by mistake you press F12 on your keyboard, instead of full screen F11. You can find this window. And you can see the source code of the web page. You can check CSS files. You can check scripts that are part of this website. But there is a console. And in the console, I found these two words, tracing disabled. I just enabled it for the Storefront. Why it's disabled? Where it's come from? So if you will open the source code right in Internet Explorer, you will find this. Not readable, but you can read it. But what you can do, you can go to the settings and enable format JavaScript option, and it will be much better. Then you can search for this string, and you'll find a piece of code that make this output to the tracing console if we don't have word tracing in URL. So what you can do next, you can put this word into URL as a parameter and try to launch your application. And you will see the full trace, what is happening in your receiver Storefront on the client side. And what is great with this stuff, if you're using HTML5 receiver and you have some connection issues, first thing that you usually do when troubleshooting connectivity issues, when your client cannot connect for some reason. You need to get ICA file and check what's inside this ICA file. Are you using DNS to resolve addresses or IP addresses? When you will enable tracing in the Storefront web client, you will see content of ICA file. So it can be really helpful when you troubleshoot an HTML5 receiver. So any questions on this piece?
Any way to see the file if you're using Windows receiver, not HTML5?
If you're using Windows receiver, your ICA file will be somewhere in the temp folder or in the temporary internet files folder. So, and this is already documented. It works in the same way like it works with web interface. So it's easy to find the ICA file. With HTML5 receiver, it's even not saved to the temporary internet folders. It's just get HTML5 receiver, get it using the JavaScript request to the server. And that's all. So only place where you can see it's a tracing console. Another one topic that I like to discuss is reverse engineering. Reverse engineering that can help you with troubleshooting. Which of you know this tool, ILSpy? Maybe you know other tools that do the same stuff, like Reflector, or there is a lot of tools that can decompile your .NET applications in the readable format. So ILSpy is a free utility that is available on ilspy.net, and it can be really useful for troubleshooting. One example, actually I have two examples of troubleshooting using source code analysis. So one of the customers had the issue with XenApp 6.5. When user tried to publish application using the console, Citrix App Studio or this App Center, sorry, names are changing. So when user tried to publish application, he can enter the name of an application. He can type the executable name. But if he will click browse to the exe file and select it, he sees this error. You can find that this error is quite there is a lot of information, basically. There is error. The system cannot find the path specified. What path? What system? Why it tries to search for some path? You can click on details and you will have more information. You will find that during the create server link, during the execution of create server link function, we catch this exception. But what you can do next? What you can do next, you can search for this string, for this command, using the same PowerShell commands, and find DLL file. Open it with ILSpy. And what I found in this particular case, that there was this piece of source code. Favorite link equals path combine. We will get user profile environment variable and attach links, hard-coded name of the folder. The problem was that customer had another one, Citrix product, Citrix Profile Manager, and there was option to delete redirected folders if you have folder redirection. So basically, there was no links folder in the user profile. And because this exception wasn't handled, it was always crashing when user tried to browse for application. I opened the support case, I sent this piece of information in the ticket, and hopefully it was fixed and customer get a private fix. I'm not sure that it was released as a public hotfix. No. Next issue that I had. When I'm doing some projects for the customers, I'm usually, instead of using RDP to connect to each server in infrastructure, I usually build one management VM where I can install Active Directory Management Console, XenDesktop console, Java to manage NetScaler, provisioning server console. So I install everything on one box and manage all servers remotely. And when I do some XenDesktop projects, I usually use group policies to configure all components of XenServer, or of XenDesktop. And if I want to configure group policy for XenDesktop and filter it based on the delivery group name, create a filter. If I will click on the button to select the group name, I will have this error message. XenDesktop is not installed. It is not true. It's installed. I have full infrastructure, a couple of DDCs, a lot of VMs running. I have XenDesktop. If you will check Citrix knowledge base about this error, Citrix say that you need to install full console using auto-run. I don't like it. I don't want to install XenDesktop console just to manage group policies. I have group policy management console. I have group policy snap-ins from Citrix to manage group policies. Everything works except this small stuff. I want to select filter. So we have this error message, XenDesktop is not installed, which is not true. Let's search for this error message. You can use PowerShell to search for this string even in binary files, in DLL files or executables. And it will find some DLL that is stored in the Windows assembly cache. You can open it using ILSpy. Search for this string. You'll find that it's defined as no XenDesktop snapping variable. Then you can search who is using this variable. And you can click Analyze, right-click on this string, and you will find the functions that are using this. You will dig deeper, and you will find that there is a piece of code that's trying to load PowerShell snapping of specific version, and if there is no snapping, it fails. Basically, it's just one MSI file that you need to install, one PowerShell snapping for broker. And that's all. And you don't need to install full-blown console on the server or on the desktop that is used by Active Directory administrators. And there is a lot of issues that you can easily find if you have access to source code. Hopefully, you can do this using ILSpy. And if you will install this MSI file, you will find that now you're able to browse for available desktop groups. So this error message, XenDesktop not installed, comparing to the same error message from XenApp piece, I like this better. It says true. It's actual error message. It clearly says what you need to do. I hope it will be fixed sometime in the XenDesktop piece. So using the source code, what you can find? You can find a lot of information. And when you find this information, it will be hard to find what you actually need. So try to explore, try to search for what you need, what errors you have, how it works, but be careful. Because if you will search a lot, you can find something that you don't want to find, and you will be stuck in some airport. Is it legal? Yes. If you read EU from Citrix, it says that you may not modify or reverse engineer. Or if you read EU from Windows 8 or Windows 7, it doesn't matter. You cannot modify, reverse engineer, or blah, 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 except if the laws where you live permit this. And the laws where you live, if you live in US or in Europe, they allow you to do this for testing and achieving interoperability with other applications. So you can do this for troubleshooting easily. So for some reason, I'm out of slides. But I have my environment running. I don't know how much time I have. Let me check. So there is my contact information. And if you're in Bay Area, as I said, you can sign up to the meetup. And we have really good content. We have monthly meetings. This presentation and other presentations will be posted on my blog site. Any questions on this? So in this case, I can show you something. I can show you how it really works and how important to have this source code and all these tools. Okay. Yeah, it's Windows 8.1. So I have my lab, and wait a moment, I will connect to it and show you some tricks. So this issue that I just shown to you with XenDesktop console, I want to just show you how I get this information and how I found what is causing this issue. I just want to show you how easy it is. Let me change resolution. Okay. Okay, perfect. Oh.
You have to hit keep changes.
Oh, yeah. So I have my domain controller running somewhere in California. And let me reproduce this issue. So here's my console. And you already know solution, but let me show you how it works. So here's my policy. Here's my Citrix policy. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to edit or to create a new policy that will be filtered. Okay, it's policy 1, next, and filters. If I click to the delivery group, click add, and type the name of my XenDesktop DDC, and click here, I should get okay, that's another error. We can troubleshoot it. But in the original scenario, if we will go to the control panel and remove this Citrix snap-in. Wait a moment. If I will uninstall it, let me close the console. I have too many consoles opened. Okay, so if I will go to the group policy management console again, and where is it? And try to manage the same policy again, I will get my error. And then I will use IOSpy to find this error, what is causing this error. Okay, XenDesktop is not installed. Okay, I have this error message. I can even copy it, then open PowerShell. Then I have it already in my command line. Let's do this. So it found this DLL. And if I will use IOSpy, that I should have somewhere. And I will open the DLL. I will show you how it's easy to find what is causing this problem. So DLL is stored in the assembly cache, and if you don't know, when you install applications that are using .NET, some of DLLs are stored in the program files, but that's not all DLLs that are used by applications. If you're troubleshooting something and you need to find some DLL file and check the source code of this DLL file, you also need to check the cache assembly that is stored in the C Windows assembly folder. There is a lot of them. If you will just browse there, you will find a lot of assemblies for different products, Microsoft assemblies, Citrix assemblies, a lot of them. Let's hope that IOSpy will start, because it's running from my desktop. Okay, I have IOSpy, and I believe that I already have this DLL opened. Yes, I have this DLL opened here. So let's close it. Let's close everything. File, open. C, Windows, assembly, Citrix. What's there? Citrix group policy. Citrix group policy. What's next? So it will be easier to copy the path name. And I actually have it somewhere in my notepad. Yes. No. Okay, let me A4. I'm a little bit not prepared for this. I was sure that I will I will talk longer about my slides. Sorry for this. And the live demo is not quite prepared.
Isn't this the Citrix store group policy feature? You see it there?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's here. Okay, and if I will open this file, if I will open group policy filters and group policy filters, it should be on the app. Okay, I think it's this. Sorry for this. Let me do this in this way. So when you open IOSpy, let me show it on my desktop. When you open IOSpy, there is some features that you can use. You can just browse your DLL files and check the source code of this file. And it can be anything, almost anything that is using .NET. You can check every function, every source code. You can search for some specific functions, like, I don't know, let's search something basic from Windows, net code group. It's not interesting. Let's search for ping. Do we have something ping? Yeah, we have ping. How ping works in Microsoft Windows in .NET. There is source code that's using some additional functions. You can browse and find what is actually happening on your system. And if we come back to our group policy DLL and check what's inside, we can search for this error message. XenDesktop. Actually, it's in resources. XenDesktop. That we will search for constant. Actually, it should be here. I still remember. So you can do search. It can take some time. Oh, yeah, it's here. So here's our constant. No XenDesktop snap-in found. If I will just right-click on this constant and click Analyze, this tool, IOSpy, will show me who get the value of this constant, which piece of source code using get function. And here is some function that I can just double click and it will jump there. Yeah. So next stuff, and here is our source code. If we will just check it, you see exactly what I shown you on the slide. That there's new command, add PS snapping, and it tries to add PS snapping, PowerShell snapping for broker management. And if there is error, we will get error in the console. So it's kind of easy. What you can do with IOSpy? Sorry? No, because these DLLs are silent. So that's a point. You can use this tool. You can even right-click on this DLL, not right-click, go to File, and Save Code. And if you will select just one DLL, it will create you C# project, or VB project if you like Visual Basic. Let me continue. So you can save this as a project, open it in Visual Studio, and compile it. But that's exactly the thing that you shouldn't do, because you will use their source code to create new applications. So you shouldn't do this. You can analyze log files, and it's what I usually do when every product from Citrix is released. To make troubleshooting much faster, I select all DLL files. You can open multiple DLL files at the time. Then I select all of them. Then I go to File, Save Code, and it can save source code of all DLLs from XenDesktop, as example, or Storefront, in one big, large C# file that I can just search. If I see some error message or I see some problem, I can search this text file and just find it. Is it in the product, or this error message came from something else? So it's really helpful for troubleshooting that you can have access to the source code.
Just wondering, you showed the issue with the links for the missing. I was wondering if you could use process monitoring. When you capture post monitor log when you try to browse the file, would you have seen the process looking for links?
Yes. So yes, for sure. You can use process monitor to track this file access issues, or you can even trace this error message in the console. You maybe will find something, but why it's trying to access links folder? yes, you will find, and maybe you will make a workaround. You will just create a links folder, and it will be a workaround. And actually, I did it for the customer when I had this problem with links folder. It was a workaround, but I want to know what is happening, and I want to fix it. I want Citrix to fix it for me. And I open a support case, and for me, when you open support case with every vendor, they trying to reproduce the issue. When I see the source code and I see that they had a mistake in their source code, I can reproduce the issue. I can prepare instructions, put them on one page in my email. They will be able to reproduce this issue very quickly and fix this issue because everyone understands what is happening. Otherwise, yeah, it tries to access links folder. Why it tries to access links folder? What causing this? Analyzing source code is much easier, personally, for me. So there is different approaches. Yes, you can just call Citrix and say, guys, you need to fix it. But if you want to know the product, it's always better to explore. Another one thing that I want to show you is Fiddler. So I have it running on my web interface server. I should have it running on my on my Storefront server. Yeah, Fiddler. What is great with Fiddler that you can use it on the client side for communication. Like if you do your Storefront installation, XD701. If you're using your Storefront in your infrastructure,
just go to your banking site.
yeah. And by the way, WCF tracing with XML files works not only for Storefront itself, but it also works for the stop director and for some other components, some other Citrix components. But let me show you Fiddler. Citrix Store Web. No. So you see what's happening here. Every picture, every GIF, every CSS file is tracked by this tool. It's much easier to use this tool than use Wireshark, because you can search, like, I don't know, when someone is asking for password, and how they asking for password. Okay, it's somewhere here. And here we can find the full raw body of the request. We can find the raw body of the answer, and we can find that there is an XML file. If we will open this XML file in Notepad as example, we can find interesting thing here. Oh. You can see that Storefront, and especially this URL authentication service, responded to receiver Storefront web client, which is Java-based or JavaScript-based client. It responded with names of with the field names that should be used in the form. Just for troubleshooting, it's kind of useful information. But what you can find here, and if you compare it with the source code of the website itself, you can find a lot of interesting stuff in the source code that may be not supported if you will implement them. But it can help you with your custom solution for your specific need. As example, here in the source code, if we will pop out it and switch to the source code of the site, it's not readable. We can make it readable. Search for password. So the way how receiver storefront works, the name of the field is stored in the configuration file for a specific language, and it's transferred every time to the JavaScript that use this field to present it to the user. And there is a lot of stuff can be stored in the configuration file. If we will search more, we can find interesting stuff here. Very populated credentials, like this. You never seen this in documentation. Actually, if you will try to search for Google for this, you will never find that someone published any information about this feature of receiver storefront. But it can be really useful when you do testing. What you can do on your receiver storefront, you can go to the configuration. Open configuration file. Where is it? Here. And in one location here, let me double check. Where is it? Pre-populated credentials. Username, domain, and password. If we will check this variable, C, the options variable. Sorry. So here in the web receiver configuration, in the settings, you can specify username, password, and domain, and they will be pre-populated. It's not secure at all, but it can be useful for some test scenarios when you just want to pre-populate data. This information, you will never find it. Maybe you will find it somewhere in a blog post if someone will explore it and publish. But it's not something that actually break this application, this storefront application. It's a kind of undocumented feature. But if you feel yourself that this is something that can break your security, you need to open support case with Citrix or email to security@citrix.com, and they will fix it if it's actually a security issue. If you having some issues with applications and you're trying to find a way to resolve them very quickly, you can open source code, because trust me, if a developer want to hide something from you, they will use obfuscators to obfuscate the source code and make it unreadable. There is a lot of developers, .NET developers do this. Hopefully, Citrix don't do this. It makes much easier for experienced developers or just people who want to troubleshoot. It makes much easier work with the product and troubleshooting this product. And yeah, always try to explore the product that you're using, especially when it's new product. I personally like XenDesktop 7. I personally like Storefront. There is not a lot of documentation about it. You can find some useful documentation or some useful information in the blog posts on the citrix.com. But usually this kind of information, it's someone did some work for specific customer and they want to share this information. If you have your specific requirements, the only way is to explore. You can call any company that do some consulting and pay them money, and maybe I will be happy to do this. But if you want to do this cheaper and understand and know how it actually works, try to explore the product. There is a lot of ways to explore product and fix it if it doesn't work, or if you need some additional functionality, you can easily find it inside the source code. So thank you for joining me on this session. Any questions? So again, if you need to find me, oh, it's not the right side. Sorry. If you need to find me, my contact information is on the screen. Thank you.